The ocean shattered with silence so sharp it ached, then cracked as steel cut the deep. A harpoon ripped through the still water, shattering calm into terror. The calf surfaced, its breath desperate, the spray a cry of existence. Clara said, "Hold him close, Liam, the hunters are near." The pod swirled in panic, their movements frantic against the sudden violence. Liam pressed closer, his body shielding the small one, yet his eyes betrayed fear. Another metallic echo thundered, vibrating through salt and flesh. The calf's fragile body trembled under the weight of survival's demand. Above, the surface glimmered deceptively golden, masking the predator's intent. Clara said, "We cannot hide in light, but we cannot breathe in shadow." The words burned with truth, for both sanctuary and death lay within the same breath. The ocean, once infinite, now shrank into a trap of steel and fear. Each ripple carried dread, each echo a reminder that silence was gone forever. The calf's breath cracked the silence, each exhale a fragile defiance against the steel storm. Liam said, "Stay close, we cannot outrun them in open water." Clara guided the calf beneath her, her body trembling with urgency. The hunters above leaned into their oars, shadows pressing through the surface like black stains. Harpoons rattled again, their echoes deeper than thunder, their rhythm cruel. The calf spun in confusion, its small frame colliding against Clara's side. She steadied him, though her fear seeped into her movements. The ocean seemed to betray them, every ripple amplifying their presence. Liam said, "We must find depth, before the air takes him." But the calf gasped again, demanding air despite danger, innocence fighting instinct. The family sanctuary had turned into a prison of salt and light. The surface shimmered gold, but beneath it churned terror. Clara said, "Breathe quick, my child, then dive deep." The calf gasped at the edge of survival, spray rising like shattered glass. Liam swam tight circles, each turn an attempt to confuse the hunter's aim. A harpoon plunged close, splitting water with vicious speed. The calf flinched, pressing to Clara, his heart trembling in her rhythm. The hunter's laughter echoed faintly above, mocking the struggle unseen. Liam said, "Every strike comes closer." His scars bore proof of battles past, but none so desperate. The ocean, once boundless, now shrank into corridors of fear and steel. Darkness gathered in streaks as clouds blotted the dawn. The hunters readied another strike, ropes winding taut above. Clara steadied the calf, her movements sharp yet tender. Liam said, "We must dive to the trench." But the calf's lungs demanded air, fragile body gasping with urgency. The harpoon shadow lengthened across their skin, a line between life and death. The pod had scattered, leaving only echoes of their cries. Clara whispered into the water, words lost but intent fierce. The calf pressed against her, innocence wrapped in terror. Liam swam forward, his body the final barrier. The strike would come, and with it the decision of survival. The ocean roared with silence, every sound a drumbeat of fear. Clara said, "If we fail, his breath will be his last." Liam surged forward, body cutting through current like a shield of flesh and will. The calf trembled, his breath a fragile whistle lost in the vastness. Above, the hunters poised with precision, their silhouettes fused into fate. Another harpoon plunged, slicing dangerously close. The water erupted with shock, a storm born beneath waves. Clara pressed tighter, her eyes locked on Liam, pleading with unspoken trust. He turned once, scars flashing like warnings before striking downward. The trench awaited, a realm of shadow and salvation, but also the risk of no return. The trench opened like a wound in the ocean floor, swallowing light and sound. Clara guided the calf downward, her body trembling with exhaustion, yet firm with resolve. Liam pressed close, his scarred flank cutting through shadows with strength born of fear. The calf quivered, his breath fragile, bubbles rising like fleeting prayers toward the surface. Clara whispered, "Your heart must be steady, little one." Her voice was lost to water, but her eyes held him. Liam said, "Depth will hide us, but the dark is no sanctuary. The calf clung to Clara's side, small form flickering in pale blue shafts that dared to pierce the deep. Every heartbeat seemed louder than the ocean itself, echoing in hollow silence. The hunter's shadows grew faint above, but danger lingered in memory, heavy as iron. The trench was both refuge and prison, a place where life could pause but never rest. The calf's body trembled as the weight of the deep pressed against him, yet Clara's touch steadied his panic. Her fins moved with grace, though fatigue pulled at her. Liam circled them slowly, his presence both shield and reminder of the dangers that lurked beyond. The ocean here was colder, currents sharper, wrapping them in shadows of forgotten lives. Clara said, "This place hides us, but it takes more than it gives." The calf's wide eyes reflected flickers of fading light, innocence bound in fear. Liam whispered, "He must learn strength now, or he will not endure." The trench echoed with silence, a silence heavy with ghosts of the past. Every small motion stirred clouds of silt, each ripple amplifying their fragility. The calf pressed tighter against Clara, desperate to anchor himself in a world that sought to unravel him. A current swept through the trench, swirling silt into ghostly veils that cloaked their forms. Clara shielded the calf, her body firm against the pull, her movements steady despite trembling strength. The calf gasped, his chest heaving with the need for air, innocence clashing with instinct. Liam steadied himself above them, scanning the abyss with cautious eyes. Clara said, "The sea tests us always." The words were heavy, shaped by memory as much as truth. Liam answered, "It teaches but never forgives." The trench groaned with hidden echoes, deep cracks whispering the language of time. The calf's movements slowed, his small body yielding to fatigue. Clara nudged him gently, urging him to push onward, to breathe not with lungs, but with heart. In that moment, fragility became their greatest bond, binding them to survival's cruel demand. Shadows shifted above, faint outlines of hunters drifting in and out of distant light. Clara held the calf closer, her body rigid against the weight of fear. Liam turned sharply, his scars catching the dim glow, his gaze piercing the upper darkness. Clara said, "They wait, always." The calf's breaths came shallow, each bubble a fragile rhythm marking time. Liam replied, "Their patience is sharper than their steel." The trench offered depth but not safety, and the hunter's presence lingered like a curse. Clara steadied her fins, wrapping the calf in a cocoon of motionless silence. The ocean here felt ancient, heavy with knowledge, indifferent to the struggle it witnessed. The calf trembled, but in Clara's hold he found a fragile calm. Fear, love, and endurance fused together, carving an anchor for the fragile spark of life. Silence thickened, broken only by the calf's trembling breaths. Clara said, "You carry more than your own life." Her words shaped by desperation, heavy as the sea itself. Liam circled lower, watching both trench and surface, scars glinting like warnings etched in flesh. The calf's innocence shimmered in the darkness, a fragile light against crushing pressure. Clara pressed closer, her body shaking with exhaustion but refusing surrender. Liam whispered, "We will fight for him, but he must fight for himself too." The calf's small frame shifted, his breath steadier, courage flickering through fear. The trench enclosed them like an ancient cradle, holding them in shadows yet granting a moment's reprieve. Above, danger lingered, waiting. Below, time stretched endless, demanding endurance. In this fragile pause, family became more than survival. It became defiance itself. The trench offered shelter, but safety shattered as shadows returned. A predator stirred in the dark, eyes glowing faintly, its presence more ancient than steel. Clara pressed the calf tighter, her heart trembling yet unbroken. Liam surged ahead, scars blazing like warnings carved by time. The calf shuddered, caught between fear of hunters above and predator below. Clara whispered, "Stay still, little one, the dark is watching." Liam growled, "This fight will not wait for us to breathe." The predator drifted closer, silent as stone, hunger shaping every ripple. The ocean closed in, pressure heavy, silence louder than thunder. The calf trembled but lifted his head, innocence flickering with defiance. Danger no longer came only from men. The sea itself demanded its price. The predator circled slowly, its body massive, teeth glinting in faint light. Clara steadied herself, her body forming a wall around the calf. The calf's eyes widened, his breath sharp and frantic. Liam cut across the trench, his scars flashing as he blocked the hunter's path. Clara said, "He is too small for this fight." Liam answered, "Then he must learn to endure within it." The predator lunged, currents exploding into violence, the trench trembling under its weight. Clara forced the calf downward, bubbles scattering like shattered glass. Liam twisted upward, body colliding with the predator's strike, force shaking the water. The calf cried in silence, his innocence pierced by terror. Conflict now had a new face, survival against nature's own jaws. The trench echoed with force, predator's strike sending waves crashing through silt and shadow. Clara clung to the calf, her body trembling under the surge. Liam twisted in agony, scars ripping wider under the clash. Clara cried, "Liam, hold strong." Her voice was swallowed by water, but the force of her plea reached him. The calf quivered, trapped between terror and awe of sacrifice. The predator circled again, hunger in every ripple, patience in every pause. Liam steadied himself, forcing his body between the calf and the predator once more. Clara said, "We cannot fight forever." Liam answered, "But we can fight long enough." The ocean shivered with tension, a heartbeat of despair pounding louder than all sound. Above, faint echoes of harpoons rattled again, their presence merging with predator's strike. Clara realized the truth. Danger closed from both worlds, no escape between. The calf gasped, body weak yet eyes holding stubborn fire. Liam turned sharply, his body colliding with predator's fin, forcing it back for a breath. Clara whispered, "He will break if this does not end." Liam said, "Then we hold until he learns to breathe through fear." The predator roared through water, mouth snapping in fury. The trench convulsed with the violence, silt rising like a storm of ash. Clara shielded the calf with her full weight, trembling with exhaustion. Yet in the calf's small frame, a spark glimmered, fragile but unyielding. The predator lunged one final time, jaws flashing like blades in darkness. Liam surged upward, body striking with desperate strength, his scars splitting further. Clara pressed the calf downward, deeper into trench shadow, her eyes fierce with resolve. The calf shook, body weak, but his breath steadied, innocence turning into fragile courage. Clara said he must live, even if we do not. Liam answered, "Then let him carry the weight of our fight." The predator recoiled, frustrated, shadows trailing its retreat. Silence returned, heavy yet trembling, the trench holding its breath. Clara's body sagged with exhaustion, but her hold never loosened. The calf leaned into her, heart sensing with hers, fragile but alive. Conflict had not ended, it had only promised to return. The trench fell silent, yet the predator did not return. Instead, the water carried an unfamiliar rhythm, a song not born of whales but of iron above. Clara held the calf still, her body rigid, listening to echoes from hunters' vessels. Liam rose slowly, scanning the surface through fractured shafts of light. Clara said, "Their hunt does not end with us." The calf pressed close, innocence trembling under the weight of secrets. Liam replied, "No, they seek more than one life." Above, nets dragged shadows across the sea, ensnaring not prey but another calf, its cries muffled by salt and rope. Clara's eyes widened, shock piercing her exhaustion. The hunter's cruelty stretched further than survival. It was conquest, and conquest reshaped the truth of fear. The trapped calf thrashed, its small body tangled in ropes, innocence drowned by terror. Clara's eyes locked on it, a reflection of her own child's fragile fate. Liam surged upward, his scars flashing, determination tearing through exhaustion. Clara whispered, "They do not hunt for need. They hunt for power." The calf beneath her shivered, sensing the truth in her fear. Above, hunters pulled hard, their faces shadowed in the sun's glare, each motion cold, mechanical. The trapped calf's cries thundered through the trench, breaking silence with agony. Liam turned, his body trembling with rage, scars glowing like fire beneath water. Clara said, "If we do nothing, we are already lost." The ocean revealed its hidden truth. Cruelty was not survival, it was domination. The trapped calf twisted desperately, its body cutting the water into storms of bubbles. Clara guided her calf deeper, torn between fear and empathy. Liam said their cruelty feeds itself. One victim will not satisfy them. The hunter's shadows thickened, ropes pulling tighter, harpoons poised for more. Clara's breath caught, her body trembling with fury. She whispered, "This sea belongs to none but life itself." The calf beneath her pressed closer, innocence bound by fear, yet eyes reflecting her fire. The trapped calf let out one final cry, its voice trembling with echoes of extinction. Liam charged upward again, his body defying exhaustion, his scars blazing with defiance. The truth sharpened. The hunters were not shadows of nature, but architects of despair. Above, the hunter's laughter fractured the silence, cruel harmony to the calf's cries. Clara whispered, "The truth is worse than death. It is being broken." Liam's body collided with the net, his strength tearing at ropes, blood mingling with salt. The trapped calf writhed, eyes wide with terror, innocence crushed by violence. Clara pressed her calf deeper, though her heart tore in two. Liam roared in silence, his strikes desperate, scars splitting further. The hunters shouted, their silhouettes pulling tighter against the net. Clara said, "We are not prey. We are survivors." The trapped calf's cries faded, echoing into silence, leaving grief heavier than water. The ocean shifted in that moment, no longer a battleground of nature, but a graveyard of stolen lives. Silence stretched like a wound after the trapped calf vanished into shadow. Clara held her child tighter, grief searing deeper than fear. Liam drifted downward, his body torn but unyielding, scars etched in rage. Clara whispered, "The sea has revealed its truth." The calf pressed against her, his innocence no longer untouched. Liam said, "It is not only predator or storm we face, it is man's will." Above, hunters dragged their prize, shadows moving farther into golden haze. The trench seemed smaller, its darkness suffocating, its silence too heavy. Clara's eyes blazed, no longer only protective but awakened with fury. She said, "We will not be their silence. We will endure." The truth had been revealed. Survival meant defying more than nature. It meant resisting cruelty itself. Dawn burned on the surface like a warning flare. The boats wheeled back, lines ready, iron singing through spray. Clara held the calf close, her muscles shaking with remembered horror. Liam rose, scars bright as lightning across night water. Clara said, "We choose where this ends." The calf shivered, then steadied, breath tight but true. Harpoons flashed, their paths etched in light like vows of ruin. Liam cut across the wake, daring the aim to follow him. Clara said, "Chase us, then drown in your hunger." The boats lunged, engines snarling, ropes trailing like venom. The ocean gathered its power, swells rearing with storm promise. Fear became heat, and heat became motion, and motion became war. Engines screamed, and the sea answered with a wall. Clara drove toward the swell, vanishing, then knifing through white. A harpoon tore past, sound like bone splitting. Liam slammed the line with his flank, sending it wide. Clara said, "Take their sight from them." She cut across the sun, a blaze that blinded the deck. The calf surfaced in her shadow, stole air, and slipped down. The helmsman cursed, turning too hard into the chop. Liam rolled, dragging rope into the screw, metal grinding. Clara said, "Now, deeper." The boat stalled, its hunger moored to its own spite. The ocean chose a side without speaking, and it was movement. The second boat arced wide, hunting a clean line. Clara dove, a dark comet into cobalt. The calf followed, faith welded to her wake. A harpoon struck water where they were, not where they went. Liam rose beneath the bow, lifting, flipping the aim skyward. Wood and iron shuddered, deckhands stumbling across foam. Clara said, "Breathe once, then vanish." The calf broke surface, took the world in a single gasp, and fell. The boat revved, furious, blind to the trench below. Liam drove them there, a gate of shadow opening like a jaw. Clara said, "They chose the chase. We choose the depth." Everything narrowed to a single pulse. They plunged into blue dusk where sound thickened. The boat followed too far, rope screaming through the guides. Liam swept across the line and wrenched it toward rock. The trench wall answered with stone and pressure. Clara said, "Hold him, hold him." The calf's fear shook, then settled into rhythm. The line snapped with a scream, the skiff pitching nose first. Above, bodies hit boards, the ocean reclaiming gravity. Liam faltered, red threads unspooling into dark. Clara turned back, eyes blazing with refusal. She pressed the calf to her chest of water and willed the tide to carry them all. Silence cracked as the crippled skiff drifted broadside. The second boat lined a final shot, pride loaded into iron. Clara rose with the calf just once, eyes fixed on Liam. He met her gaze, then turned to the gun. Clara said, "I am with you." Liam surged, taking the path of the harpoon before it lived. The deckhand fired into the charge and lost him in white water. The line tore free, the gun kicked, the bow slewed. Clara pulled the calf down deeper than fear, deeper than grief. Above, men shouted at a sea that would not answer. Below, a heartbeat kept time with the dark and refused to stop. The sea calmed after chaos, its surface broken only by drifting wreckage. Clara held the calf beneath her, every muscle trembling with exhaustion. Liam floated nearby, blood trailing like ribbons, his eyes dim yet unyielding. Clara said, "You gave everything." The calf pressed close, his body shaking, but his breath steady. Innocence bound to loss. Liam whispered, "He carries more than himself now." The ocean was silent, a judge neither cruel nor kind, only absolute. Clara's heart thundered, grief bound with defiance. The horizon glowed faintly, clouds lifting to reveal a muted light. In the stillness, survival no longer felt like victory but like burden. The calf stirred, his small voice piercing the silence of the deep, a fragile vow to endure. Liam struggled against the weight of his wounds, body sinking slightly before fighting upward again. Clara steadied him with her flank, refusing to let him fall. The calf surfaced quickly, spray bursting, then dove to stay close. Clara said, "We rise together, or not at all." Liam's voice faltered, "My fight is nearly spent." The calf turned, pressing against him, small form glowing with stubborn hope. The sea rocked gently, its anger fading into weary silence. Above, the hunters retreated, their boats reduced to specks swallowed by horizon. Clara whispered, "The ocean forgets nothing, but it forgives no one." Liam's eyes closed briefly, then opened again, holding both pain and pride. The trench behind them seemed endless, yet the path forward shimmered faintly with light. Clouds parted slowly, sunlight spilling into water like a blessing and a wound. Clara guided the calf upward, each motion heavy yet filled with resolve. Liam trailed behind, scars torn and bleeding, his strength a fading storm. Clara said, "This light does not belong to them, it belongs to us." The calf surfaced, spray glittering gold as his lungs filled with life. Liam's gaze rose toward the glow, a quiet defiance still burning. Silence pressed in, broken only by the rhythm of breaths too fragile to waste. Clara steadied herself, eyes fierce with both grief and promise. The sea stretched endless, its surface calm, its depth heavy with memory. Survival no longer felt like escape, but like inheritance carved in pain. The horizon widened, no boats, no predators, only silence heavy with consequence. Clara's body trembled, but her eyes shone with unbroken fire. Liam lagged, drifting lower, his movements faltering with exhaustion. Clara said, "Do not leave him, not yet." The calf swam between them, pressing against Liam's side, his innocence fierce as defiance. Liam whispered, "He will remember, even if I do not rise again." Clara steadied him, her flank bearing his weight. The sea's vastness pressed down, but its stillness carried them like a cradle. Every ripple echoed with memory, every breath became sacred. Above, sunlight rippled, distant and unreachable, yet promising a path. In that fragile circle of life, despair and hope fused as one. The sea exhaled slowly, its vast lungs settling into calm. Clara pressed the calf close, her body worn but unbroken. Liam's figure drifted in silence, his scars glowing faintly, each mark a history carved in flesh. Clara whispered, "Your fight is ours now." The calf breathed deep, spray catching the light, his voice rising like a fragile echo of survival. Liam's eyes closed, his body sinking gently, surrendering to the depth with dignity. Clara's heart cracked, but her gaze lifted, steady as stone. The calf leaned into her, their bond carved from grief and endurance. Above, sunlight spread across the surface, endless yet unreachable. The ocean had spoken, and its judgment was eternal. Survival, at the cost of love. Dawn spread like a quiet oath across the water, and the sea breathed as if relieved to still be here. Clara held the calf close, their bodies moving in a slow circle of promise. Liam was gone to the deep, and his silence weighed more than steel. Clara said, "Carry him in the rhythm of your breath." The calf rose, took air that tasted of salt and absence, and let it change him. The horizon wore a pale crown, and the waves stitched distance into memory. No engines, no ropes, only the pulse of a world that had endured the night. Clara touched the calf with a steady brush, and the fear in him loosened. In the hush, grief did not vanish, but it learned to swim. The morning waited, and it did not demand an answer. They drifted across the trench mouth where shadows once roared, and the water felt older but kinder. Clara said, "He lives in the path you choose." The calf traced her wake, small and sure, learning the grammar of currents. Far below, the rock kept its secrets, and the silence honored what it held. A gull's cry crossed the surface, thin and bright, like thread through heavy cloth. The ocean gathered their shapes and let them belong. Clara turned, offering space, and the calf did not falter. He rose for air with a cleaner line, and came down with steadier intent. The day opened around them, not as mercy, but as room to move. In that room, a future shaped itself without permission. Clouds gathered thin as memory and parted again, and the sea wore them lightly. Clara slowed and let the calf cross in front, testing his balance against the chop. He surfaced once, quick and purposeful, then slipped beneath with clean control. Clara said, "The current is not your judge, only your teacher." The words were water, but the meaning held. A distant spray marked life that was not theirs, and it did not threaten. The calf tilted, corrected, and kept her parallel, not hiding, not clinging. In the quiet, Liam's echo was guide, not grief's anchor. The ocean accepted this small revision and moved on. The day did not promise safety, but it allowed practice. A low swell rolled through like a heartbeat, and Clara matched it with calm authority. The calf rose in sync, timing breath to the lift, and his exhale stitched silver beads across the light. Clara said, "Remember the dark so you can keep the light." He held the lesson without fear, and the water held him back. The horizon sharpened and then softened, and the sky's edge did not break. No ropes dragged, no iron sang, and the path stayed where depth could keep it. Clara turned once, letting pride show plain and unhidden. The calf turned too, and the line between them felt like a bridge. In that span, loss did not close, it opened. Evening drifted in on quiet feet, and the ocean made room for one last vow. Clara rose and paused, and the calf rose beside her, two notes in a single chord. She said, "Breathe, and keep him with you when you do." He breathed, and the sound carried farther than fear. The light thinned to blue, and the surface held a mirror that refused to lie. Somewhere below, love did not end. It changed its shape. Clara dipped her head and turned toward the wide water. The calf followed, not small, only new. The sea answered with a hush that felt like respect. The night began, and the world did not forget.